two flagship headphones, two completely different philosophies. That's the simplest way to describe the new Sennheiser Momentum 5 wireless against the Sony WH-1000XM6. Both are genuinely excellent, but they're not built the same way at all. They're built for different kinds of listeners. So, which one actually deserves your money? Let's get into exactly how these two stack up. Both headphones follow the same basic playbook: padded headband, friction style adjustment, synthetic leather cushions. But the Momentum 5 is heavier at around 290 grams, while the XM6 stays lighter at 254 grams. That difference sounds small, but over a long session, lighter usually wins, especially if you wear glasses. Then there's folding. Sony keeps its hinge design, so it still collapses down small for travel. Sennheiser, on the other hand, goes with a flat fold format that's slimmer, but doesn't shrink quite as much. Neither has any ingress protection, so treat both as fair weather only. Build quality is basically a wash, and color options exist on both sides, so this one really comes down to taste. Call it a draw, with Sony winning on portability and Sennheiser winning on long session comfort, thanks to better clamp distribution. This is where it gets genuinely interesting, because these two are tuned with completely different philosophies. The Momentum 5 leans warm and bass forward with a noticeable sub-bass lift that rewards hip-hop, electronic, and bass-heavy pop. However, that bass emphasis can occasionally bleed into the lower mids and slightly muddy busier tracks. The XM6 goes the other way. Sony worked with mastering engineers to keep things flatter and more neutral, so vocals and mids come through with more separation. It's less fun consumer headphone and more studio monitor, which audiophiles tend to appreciate. Neither is perfect though. The Sennheiser's bass shelf can mask low-end detail, and the Sony's treble gets a little inconsistent depending on fit and seal. So really, it comes down to what you want: a warm, immersive listen, or an accurate reference style one. Slight edge to Sony for precision, slight edge to Sennheiser for everyday enjoyment. Sony's reputation here isn't just marketing. The XM6 runs on the new HD noise cancelling processor QN3 alongside 12 microphones that read ambient noise in real time, plus the adaptive NC optimizer factors in air pressure, and even how the headphones sit on your head, so it's constantly recalibrating. Sennheiser isn't far behind, though. The Momentum 5 uses hybrid adaptive ANC across 8 mics, and Sennheiser claims up to 3 times stronger mid-range cancellation compared to the Momentum 4. That's a real jump, and it closes a gap that used to be much wider. Still, Sony pulls ahead on breadth, especially in higher frequencies and that stubborn mid-range chatter, like office noise or HVAC hum. Sennheiser handles low rumble well, but Sony's system is simply more complete across the board. So if ANC alone is your deciding factor, Sony keeps the crown, even if Sennheiser made this a much closer race than before. Sony leans on raw hardware here. 12 mics driven by that same QN3 chip give the XM6 more data to isolate your voice from background noise, and that translates into more consistent call quality in places like streets or cafes. Sennheiser instead takes a more targeted approach. 8 beam-forming mics plus owned voice detection, which recognizes your specific voice and prioritizes it. It also adds automatic wind noise suppression, which matters if you take calls outdoors a lot. In practice, both land in very good territory, with Sony having a slight numerical edge thanks to mic count. Either way, you'll be satisfied for everyday calls and voice notes. Sennheiser supports Bluetooth 5.4 along with a generous codec list including aptX lossless, which is a real win for Android users with compatible phones since it enables CD-quality wireless audio. Sony counters with LDAC, its own high-res codec that's widely supported across Android too, though it depends on your phone's chipset either way. As for features, Sennheiser's app brings an 8-band EQ, Dolby Atmos spatial audio, and a gaming mode for lower latency. Sony's app goes further with DSEE Extreme for upscaling compressed files, 360 reality audio, and that adaptive NC optimizer we mentioned earlier. So if you're deep into Android with a recent flagship, Sennheiser's codec flexibility gives you more lossless options. But if you want a slightly more polished software experience, Sony edges ahead, mostly because they've had more time to refine it. This one isn't close. Sennheiser claims up to 57 hours with ANC on, nearly double Sony's 30-hour rating under the same conditions. That means the Momentum 5 can realistically go a full week without a charge, while the XM6 might need a mid-week top-up. Sennheiser also adds a swappable 700 mAh battery, so when it eventually degrades, you can just replace it instead of retiring the whole headphone. Sony offers quick charging to soften the shorter runtime, but it doesn't close that structural gap. So for battery life and long-term value, this one's a clear win for Sennheiser. There's no clean overall winner here, and that's what makes this comparison fun. Go with the XM6 if you want the best ANC, slightly sharper calls, and a flatter sound signature. Go with the Momentum 5 if you want warmer bass, way longer battery life, and a replaceable battery that adds real long-term value. Either way, you're choosing between two genuinely excellent flagships, just with different priorities. That was all. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comment. If you find it helpful, like and subscribe for more videos.